We've been getting massive amounts of iPhone 17 lineup leaks with everything from CAD files. We have details on the iPhone Air and the camera bump. And I also want to share my thoughts on how everyone is wrong about the iPhone Pro camera bump and how it's going to be a heck of a lot better than you think. So let's get right into leak update number 1 out of the 5 I want to talk about. First up, we have the entire lineup revealed with new CAD files. And this is showing something massive going on with Apple's marketing. They're completely rebranding every one of the 4 iPhone 17 models is going to be completely unique. First of all, we have the regular iPhone 17, which looks just like the 16. I think this is going to be an iterative upgrade with most of the updates happening on the inside, like the chip. So it's going to be by far the most boring option, while we have the brand new iPhone Air, which is completely new. Apple has never done this, which is really interesting because Apple has always had the regular phone and then either a mini, which they did for a couple years and it kind of failed. Not many people bought it. Then they had the Plus, which also didn't really work. So now Apple's like, screw it. Let's get rid of those models that are just a smaller or bigger version. Let's do something completely new. And that is the Air with a new camera bump, and it's just completely different. I'll get more into it in just a minute. We also have both of the Pro models, which have a brand new camera bump design, which I'm gonna get into as well because there's a lot of interesting stuff here. And we might actually have a new Ultra model. This is brand new marketing. They're trying something new. I think it's gonna be a huge success. With that said, let's move on to leak update number 2. Everyone is wrong about the Pro camera bump. If you look at all the renders that are out right now, you'll see this huge rectangular block with black glass inserted in the middle of the entire bump. I think this is completely wrong because when you have such a large area that's all glass, it's susceptible to damage like scratches or cracking. I believe it makes more sense for that entire bump to be fully aluminum and not just an extra section added onto the back. I believe, like other rumors have said, that you'll have the entire side frame that just molds perfectly into one piece that's CNC'd out of a solid block of aluminum. Why? Well, because we had rumors that talked about this, like from John Prosser, saying that it'll be one continuous flow of aluminum into the bump, except that I disagree with it being black glass. I think it's gonna be color matched aluminum just like the rest of the phone. And if you want some more evidence, well, we had rumors from a couple of months ago saying that the top of the iPhone, the back, would be aluminum while the bottom is glass. And that right there is why we see on the newly revealed CAD files showing those Pro models with this rectangular section on the bottom, which is literally a cutout line to show where there will be an inlaid piece of glass on the back for MagSafe charging support, especially if you look at this other CAD file, which shows it highlighted in red. The red is literally there to signify that this is the only section that's a different material, which is glass, while the rest of the back is all aluminum. Now, a lot of people are saying that it's gonna look terrible to have this piece of glass just sitting there, but I believe that Apple is gonna make the transition very, very subtle between the aluminum on the back and the glass. It's gonna be painted the same color. Some people might not even notice. Now, in terms of why Apple would go with this fully aluminum bump design, I think they'll do it for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that aluminum is gonna be stronger in terms of drop resistance. Number 2 is that if Apple uses aluminum instead of glass, actually making the phone thicker in that area in terms of internal space, which gives them a bunch of extra space to fit in a larger sensor for the telephoto, which we are rumored to get a 48 megapixel sensor for that telephoto camera, which is a big deal, as well as some extra room for the flash, microphone, and LiDAR to kind of go towards the back of the phone, giving them extra space on the inside to potentially slide in the logic board right behind those components on the right side of the camera bump, which of course gives them more room for a larger battery right below it. And in terms of Apple copying the Pixel's camera bump, I don't think they are, because this post by Apple Design on X perfectly explains how this camera bump design matches the size and shape and style of the dynamic island. Now moving on to number 3, I want to explain how the iPhone Air is going to look like and be designed. According to the new CAD files, look at the iPhone Air. It is pretty big, bigger than the iPhone Pro, so I think it's gonna feel super nice and immersive with that huge display. This phone is gonna be so thin, just slightly thicker than the USB-C port, and we actually had a sneak peek of this with the new Oppo Find N5 foldable, which is the world's thinnest foldable out there, and just looking at it and feeling it in your hand, it's insane how thin this is. It's quite shocking compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I think that the iPhone Air is gonna be just as thin, and it's gonna be crazy with the big display. Now, as far as the iPhone Air's camera bump, I think this one might actually have with an inserted black piece of glass because it's more low profile and it doesn't need to be fully made out of aluminum. Why? Well, if we look at the CAD files, we don't see that same rectangular cutout that was highlighted in red that we saw in the Pro models, which shows that maybe the entire thing is gonna be glass. So both the 17 and 17 Air look the same on those CADs, which means that they could likely have glass camera bumps on both of them. Now moving on to number 4, I wanna talk about the iPhone Ultra because I have a good feeling that the iPhone 17 Pro Max will be renamed and rebranded as the Ultra. And we actually have a good amount of evidence for why this could happen. First of all, Mark Gurman years ago said that Apple was working on an Ultra model, but it never came about. It seemed like they canceled it, and then he said that Apple was still working on it, so it was delayed. So it seems like this is the perfect year for Apple to bring out an Ultra. And for the second point, a few months back, Ming-Chi said a very interesting leak about the iPhone 17 lineup, claiming that the 17 Pro Max would have a bunch of unique exclusive features that the rest of the 17 lineup would not get. At the time, he said that the 17 Pro Max would get 12 gigs of RAM exclusively, while the rest only get 8. He also said that it's gonna get vapor chamber cooling, while the rest don't get that, and he even mentioned faster AI performance with a faster neural engine just for the Pro Max model, which is a hint that Apple could actually be giving us a bunch of exclusive extra features on this new model, which could easily allow it to be called the Ultra. And now finally, for update number 5, we gotta talk about the modems with Apple's C1 chip that was just released and came to the 16E with awesome features like better battery life and some extra software related features as well. This is a huge hint that the iPhone 17 Air is gonna have great battery life despite the thin chassis, which is very good with Apple putting the C1 in there. But the problem with the C1 is that it does not support millimeter wave 5G, which is apparently why Apple is not putting the C1 into the Pro models this year and sticking with a Qualcomm modem for now. And another issue is that the new 16E does not have Wi-Fi 7, but thankfully Apple is apparently planning to give the entire iPhone 17 lineup a custom Wi-Fi chip with Wi-Fi 7 support, which is a really big deal because this Wi-Fi chip will also give us even further battery life gains with it being very efficient and tied to Apple's software working reliably. And the fact that Apple is already giving us extra features with the C1 modem where the phone will tell the modem which apps to give data priority to is massive, and it's greatly going to improve the experience. So this is truly exciting times for Apple and the new iPhone 17 lineup. I can't wait to see it, and I also can't wait to test the C1 modem on the 16E to see how it performs here in the next couple of days. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe above so you don't miss out and check out one of those videos right over there. Let me know your thoughts on these iPhone 17 leaks below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.